All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for real people just like you and just like me. Van Morrison has been criticized for his new album, as one reviewer called it whiny and paranoid. Yeah, and the review goes something like this: It's unlikely wedding parties will be hitting the dance floor to Van Morrison's newest album because here in the United States and around the world, Van Morrison is known for one song, and that is Brown Eyed Girl, which of course you can play at a wedding or a party. um, but I'm pretty sure Van Morrison doesn't want to be known by that one song. What's embarrassing for the music industry and for the pop culture at large is most of Van Morrison's catalog from the 1970s has disappeared from radio. And that's by design, obviously, because, see, people aren't going to, they're not going to want to listen to Moondance or Wavelength or Into the Mystic or something like that. They wouldn't want to hear that because we've already kind of told people that you don't like that. All right. Now, Van Morrison's latest project is called the Latest Record Project, Volume 1. 28 songs. And the reviewers, they're not happy. It was released by Sony, and it includes missives about mind control, clandestine meetings in the forest, and the mainstream media. Heaven forbid. One of the things last year that was really weird to me, and I mentioned this without knowing all the specifics of what happened last year, in the sense that you learn more as time goes on. And now I know even more than I used to know. And I kind of kept my mouth shut because things needed to play out. And they've played out. And as the history books will someday be written, we will find that this was one of the worst things that could have ever been done to humanity. One of the worst things ever. We have no idea the psychological effects, the long-term effects, how people will think forever about certain things that are in the air that may cause them to become ill. We'll say that. People have changed their perspective on that. And fear was and still is the prevailing narrative and the prevailing motivator. Now, Van Morrison had enough. At a certain point, he just said to himself, no, something about this doesn't seem right. By the way, Eric Clapton joined him, and he's also been ridiculed, mocked, and one of the great guitarists of all time. And his stature, I guarantee you, he will not be considered one of the great guitarists of all time if he continues down this road. People will rewrite history books and say, yeah, Clapton wasn't as good as Jimmy Page because Jimmy Page has kept quiet, or Jeff Beck, who's kept quiet for the most part. I don't know what they think. Maybe they just have played this in a different way because they know they're going to get the ridicule and scorn. But Clapton said, I can't do this anymore. I can't just sit here and not speak the truth. And that's what Van Morrison decided to do. Now, Van Morrison, again, you may think this is a paranoid, schizophrenic, rambling old man. But what's interesting is that Van Morrison was there in the 1960s, and so was Clapton, when rock and roll was truly rebellious and had a countercultural sort of stick it to the man, we're not going along with what you're saying, and we're just going to be sort of opposition just because we don't trust. Remember, it was what? Don't trust anybody over 40 or 30 or something like that. But now we trust all of these authorities and we don't question it. Last year, watching this unfold, everybody was coming out with statements and they were all singing from the same hymnal. It was embarrassing. It was as if nobody was doing any, you had all of this downtime. And yes, some of these musicians, maybe they were recording, but I'm thinking, how much Netflix can you watch, right? At some point, maybe go off of the entertainment grid for 5 seconds and do some of your own research. Turn off the prevailing narrative for a little while because it's depressing. Number one, it's not good for your health. But hey, we were told fear, 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 and nobody anywhere was talking about hope, hope, hope. Everybody was just peddling fear. Now, Van Morrison has every right to sing about the things that he wants to sing about, just like Roger Waters does, and Bono, and all these guys who are kind of, again, sort of monolithic in their view on this particular topic. So kudos to Van Morrison. I would go check out the album. There's a couple of very interesting moments. Some people say they're a little bit too telegraphed and cartoonish in their approach. I disagree. I think you need sort of a blunt, no holds barred kind of approach to writing this kind of music at this stage. And quite honestly, nobody else is really doing it. Think of it that way. You know, leave it to Van Morrison, the guy who is famous for Brown Eyed Girl and Into the Mystic and Wavelength and lots of other great songs that you don't get to hear anymore on FM stations. Leave it to him to say, you know what, the mild-mannered crooner, the troubadour, one of the great songwriters. Prior to this, he was listed in, you know, whoever's top 10, top 20 songwriters of all time. Have I Told You Lately? That's a Van Morrison song, just in case you didn't know. I know Rod Stewart made it a little bit more famous than Van's version, but this guy is a tremendous writer and seems to be able to compose music in his sleep. I think this is album number 42 for him. It's got 28 songs on it, and apparently there's a volume 2 on the way. So again, you don't have to agree with what Van Morrison is saying in these lyrics, but man, oh man, we need some other perspectives. Life gets very boring when everybody is involved in this world groupthink project, which to me seems very, very sketchy. Seems like, you know, people are almost so fearful that they can't think for themselves anymore. All right, on that wonderful and joyous note, that is my video. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. I try not to offend people when I talk about this stuff. It's not easy. We are in some strange days indeed.